welcome to CRInvestor and Flibbr's cryptocurrency show for Monday, May 7th, 2014. Hello, Andre. How are you?
Hey Brian, I'm good, thanks.
Good, good. And I see we have quite a few people in the audience, and I can hear the YouTube channels playing in the background, so I know we're live. Welcome everybody on the in the lounge. Looks like we're gonna have a fun show tonight. We got lots of stuff to talk to, lots of people. We might even, if we're lucky, get a special commentator tonight, Ron from TradingView, very popular contributor at TradingView. So I'm really excited that we might get him. Of course, we have our resident Bitcoin monster, the Flibbr, Andre. To tell us a little bit about what he's thinking, and of course I'll give you my sort of chart summary about what I'm thinking. What I see, of course, is we're slowly working towards maybe forming a bottom here on the old Bitcoin. So, and actually we could talk a little bit about anecdotal evidence as well. I'm starting to hear sort of market sentiment that the public isn't really that interested in the cryptocurrency, which to us technicians is music to our ears. So maybe we're working our way through this this grinding bear. We're now, I guess, we're into our, I guess you could argue the market topped out in December, so we're getting into our 5th or 6th month of this bear market, which is pretty much par for the course. And you know, as we'll explain on the charts, well, maybe we're not exactly at a bottom. We're getting pretty darn close. So, Andre, how'd you do this week? Tell me a little bit. How you feeling? How did it go?
Yeah, going well, really. I mean, you know, there's a lot of despair this week. You know, a lot of despondency. People really feeling, you know, when we took out the previous low and made the new low, you know, people were really feeling down. And as usual, that was a great time to buy because, you know, we've just had the $20-25 up leg. So yeah, good buying opportunity. So luckily I managed to trade it pretty well this week. I mean, feeling pretty happy with myself. Increase the coin, increase the dollar value. So win-win-win all round so far this week. You know, obviously could have played it better, but I mean, you say that to yourself every day. So
Good for you. Good for you. So as you can see from our schedule, and we're slowly working towards getting a little more structured on these shows. One of our team members has been asking me to structure these shows a little bit more. So actually what I might do is in between segments, I might actually just take a 2-minute pause or so. And that'll be understandable if you understand how these video productions work. And it's a learning process. Hopefully everybody out there in you.
lost your audio, Brian. He's gone. Ryan's gone.
That's okay. I'll be back.
He's back. He's back.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Come in, Tokyo.
Yeah.
Come in, Tokyo.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, and you know, that's one thing that we have to be always cognizant of is we are using our Google Plus platform here. We are all beholden to the internet gods. The great part about why we have people in the lounge is that if any one person gets disconnected, at least the show goes on. And thankfully, Andre is very good at picking up the slack when I cut out. So thank you, Andre, for at least acknowledging that my audio had gone out, and you picked up the ball pretty quickly there. So thank you. As you can see from our schedule here, it's just a really basic schedule. I like to take the first 15, 20 minutes, half hour, just talk a little bit about what we've seen happen in the market over the past week or two. Actually, I guess last week. I thought it was really interesting at the end. I didn't find the clip. I probably should have been a little bit more prepared, but tisk tisk, Brian. But I did find it really interesting that literally the day after our show, we made some pretty bold predictions about what price was going to do. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the market basically came right down to our levels. You remember when we got excited about that last week, Andre? Or was that 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago? I can't remember.
No, it was last week, and we were absolutely spot on. I can't
Uh,
remember what it was now, but I remember us talking about it, saying how great we were.
So obviously it must have been ground shaking. But I do remember that when I was talking to Andre after the show, we had made a prediction. I think it might have been this initial rally, but anyway, I'll find it later on. It was just beautiful how basically the general call that we had made in the room was spot on, and it just goes to show there's some really great value in watching the show. So maybe Andre, take a couple minutes right now, if you don't mind, and tell us a little bit about what you saw and happen in the Bitcoin world. What fundamentally happened this past week? Were there any big breaking stories, those kind of things, and maybe fill in our audience as to what's going on the ground?
Well, in brief, we had the Chinese exchanges say that they're going to pull out of the International Bitcoin Conference in China. They've said they're going to stop margin trading on their site and just kind of basically just cut down on zero fee transactions. And I think they're just saying this to try and appease the gods of the People's Bank of China to to kind of dampen down some of the speculatory nature of Bitcoin that the powers that be see to try and stay in the good books. That's the way I see it anyway, and I think that's what they're doing. But that conference itself is on the 10th, so whether there's going to be some new kind of super bearish or bullish news coming out in and around that day between then, that's definitely going to be, that's the current date. There's always a new date from China, so one to keep the eye out from. And apart from that, it's been pretty quiet. The only other thing I've seen of actual interest and real interest, I'd say, apart from Lala supports Bitcoin or has bought some, is that Russia, said that they want MasterCard, Visa and MasterCard to put in 2 days worth of transactions as a deposit down. And although that sounds nothing to do with Bitcoin, that's incredibly good for Bitcoin because the Russian-Ukraine stuff, it all comes back, ties back. The Russian-Ukraine stuff has obviously upset the people in Washington. They've said, right, let's put some sanctions on Russia, and those banks that deal with the Russian elite, we're gonna, our Visa, MasterCard, I want to use you as a political tool and stop you from processing their transactions. And Visa and MasterCard, being the weak, parliamentary, political puppets that they are, like they were with Edward Snowden, have said yes, my lord, and they have, blocked the payments for these Russian oligarchs and people, from these Russian banks. And so Russia's basically said, well, from now on, if you're going to be like that, this is what Russia said, if you're going to be like that, then you have to give us every single transaction for average for 2 days up front, held in a bank that we control. And they've said that if you try any games like that, we're going to take the money. Forget you. We'll just take the money straight out of that deposit you're giving us, and we're going to charge you 10% a day. So all of a sudden,
I don't understand. So Russia has said
to Visa and
card.
MasterCard, yeah,
Yeah.
if you're going to play these funny games with us, then we're going to play funny games with you. And the way we're going to do it.
So Russia has said that Visa and MasterCard, if you want to do any business within Russia, you have to have like a dummy account filled with a whole bunch of money. And if there's any of this sort of sanction nonsense, we're just going to take the money straight out of the dummy account
and start charging you interest as well. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? And so what was Visa and MasterCard's response?
They're going to work with Russia to try and sort it out, as their response.
Isn't that interesting? Wow. Huh.
Yeah, so and Russia has also asked that Visa and Mastercard to operate in Russia now must have a headquarters based in Russia. So that's obviously so the Russians can kidnap them and hold them for ransom. Yeah, should it get ugly. So
Wow.
but it's because Visa and Mastercard they have such a huge monopoly on the market that if they stop payments going through when these oligarchs are on their yachts in the Med and Maldives and stuff, yeah, it's going to be pretty upsetting for these guys. So it's kind of a political war using these private companies, and they
It's
should be
like
involved.
it's brinkmanship, eh?
Yeah, but either way, it's in the Bitcoin Reddit, and I see it as pretty good for Bitcoin myself, because Bitcoin,
Sorry.
can't be tampered with like this.
How does Bitcoin tie into this?
Oh, entirely. I mean, that's why it's in the Bitcoin Reddit. It ties into it because Bitcoin can't be seized or stopped by anybody. So all these political, problems and dramas with Bitcoin, it's a non-issue, complete and utter non-issue. You know?
Interesting. So, if anything, what's ending up happening is uh, people around the world have been clamoring for a move away from the U.S. dollar as sort of the central currency, and Bitcoin is sort of filling that void. Is that how you would look at it?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I see Bitcoin. I mean, I'm so bullish on Bitcoin. I see Bitcoin as the global reserve currency of tomorrow. I
Fascinating.
really do. Yeah, and I can make a good argument for that as well. I can make it. You can make it equally argument for why not, but I think the argument for is stronger. I'd be happy to run that through sometime.
Hmm. Isn't that interesting? I mean, I do. Hopefully, I know everybody in the lounge knows, and I'll just throw it up here just because I love to talk about it. But I'm a firm believer that we are well within, and hopefully you can see my screen here. Anybody who's taken my tutorials, you've probably seen this 100 times. I think we're very comfortably within this 17 and a half year US dollar bear cycle. And our forecast here is for this US dollar index to basically getting cut in half over the next maybe 4 or 5 years. So I'm always fascinated to see how we can sort of us technicians we can sort of see um, uh, through the crystal ball, but the crystal ball, of course, is a little cloudy. You never really know exactly how these things are going to play out, and it's fascinating just in my 6 months experience. With studying Bitcoin to see how all this stuff sort of plays together. Very, very interesting stuff. So actually, that's an interesting piece of wisdom there. Thank you for
Well,
that,
I mean,
Andre.
one more thing I just want to chime in, be quick about it, is
Yeah.
the Bitcoin's Reddit also had about the Swiss banks, posting data back to local, regional, government tax authorities, and this isn't new. This has been going on a while, and governments around the world they do have treaties and agreements in place with different countries. There are some exceptions, but a lot of them they want trade deals and stuff like this, and they want to be paid for to have a holiday, in their rich little inner circle boys club, and in exchange they say, yeah, we'll give up our the secret accounts that we hold for these secret tax evaders, and that's just another reason for Bitcoin, in my opinion.
So, but if let's say, and really, what it boils down to is the United States wields a lot of sort of moral suasion. And they've encouraged, like Swiss banking industry, to play ball. And if they don't, then the United States, puts up barriers and says you can't come and visit the country, and will block banking, blah 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 blah. I wonder. My question for you, as the eternal Bitcoin optimist, is theoretically, according to the what I understand, is there's a blockchain or basically like a tape of all transactions that happen in Bitcoin land. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So could an entity like IRS request that chain and basically do an audit of the chain and figure out where money is going and who it's going to?
Well, you see, they could, and when you're arguing that Bitcoin is the next best thing to sliced bread in front of regulators, so they don't set draconian laws, you're going to say to them, look, it's an entirely public ledger. There, it's the most open, transparent thing you'll come about, and yet when you want to go for tax evasion and buy drugs online, you're going to tell people it's pseudo anonymous. You can put your coin through CoinShare, CoinJoin, altcoins, and you can become the most anonymous thing since sliced bread. So, you can argue it either way, and I think there will be a big market. As Bitcoin gains traction, as a legitimate, store of value in terms of it holds its value at a consistent price. Tax havens of the future might well find themselves utilizing, Bitcoin as maybe some of that, portfolio.
So, Lee, I don't know whether you have access to a microphone. You posted an interesting comment there. What's that? If an address is ever tied to a person, then the anonymity is up. They call it a
Yeah,
tainted address.
that's right. That's
Lee, do
absolutely
you have
right. Yeah.
access to a mic? Do you want to chime in here and give us your two thoughts or your 2 cents? Oh, guess not. All right. Well, the great part about being in the lounge is that I will elicit comments from you. I expect you people in the lounge to be active participants. If you just want to sit on the sidelines, you're more than welcome to go to the YouTube. I'm getting lots and lots of PMs from people who would like to be in the lounge. So if you feel like you just want to be a spectator, then maybe YouTube's your best bet for you. But I really like this to be very interactive with everyone. So just keep that in mind, okay, everybody? All right, so just before we move on, I just want to make sure we've covered everything here. All right, and that was some interesting. So I guess the bottom line here is we have a fundamental. Are we talking about Mount Gox and that Japanese court decision anymore, or is that basically a past event?
It's not a past event at all, but no super new updates on that. So I'll stay in the loop, and hopefully maybe have something next week. So I would like to give an update on that next week if possible. So
Okay.
we'll see.
And just so I understand, I'm just going to play the devil's advocate here. If I understand what you said earlier, May 10th, there's supposed to be a big symposium on Bitcoin within China itself. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's an international event about Bitcoin based in China, which is weird.
Yeah, of all places, right? I mean, it seems kind of oxymoronic in a way. They seem to be going out of their way, banning, and then all of a sudden they're having a conference within China about Bitcoin. Doesn't seem to make any sense.
Yeah, it's weird.
Anyway, something to consider. I wonder, so current price action, do you think this is a kind of sort of buy on the rumor, sell on the news scenario, or do you think this was just a dead cat bounce that happened because we made a new low? What do you think's going on here?
Difficult because, like we said, buyers were pretty exhausted on the last new low.
You mean
buyers
sellers?
were exhausted. Yeah, sellers were exhausted. Buyers were continuing to, tentatively rear their heads and, just about enough to get sold into. But, it's consistent. Joseph wants to chime in. What does he think?
What's your thoughts?
Sure. Just as I was watching this price action last night, I sent a PM to Flibbr and that I said that I don't like this. I wouldn't want to go long in this, only because the upwards movement was so synthetic. Right around the high 20s, it started to pump, and it wasn't the pump that comes in when buyers are actually buying. You know, these were huge market sells. I mean, market buys. Sorry.
They were
Um,
just what they were cleaning out the offers.
well, they were just buying up everything they can, basically trying to push the price higher. Um, that's just my 2 cents. That the whole thing just seems so synthetic, like it was made. It doesn't look natural at all.
Okay. Well,
So
I
this could
appreciate
just
that.
be, yeah, this could just be a pump before a dump.
Well, I do see just what I find fascinating, and we'll get to the charts in a minute, is that, and I had pointed this out to Andre earlier when we were talking, the rally on Q, and I'm, as regular watchers and anybody who takes my tutorials will know of me, I'm a big fan of what we call the optimal trade entry area. And I noticed that basically they rallied it right into that, and you see that it was on a massive volume spike. And we say that, the only way institutions can get short in size is they have to engineer a rally. They have to get the public going, chomping at the bit, buy, 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 buy. And ironically enough, that's, they need that size to get short, right? Now, if you want to short like 10,000 coins, you just can't do market orders, right? And on this spike in particular, it wasn't, I think it was like maybe 1,000 or something like that. But just the point being that, I think, as you pointed out there just a second ago, Joseph, we did get an engineered rally. I think we did have a bit of a technical inverted head and shoulders to work with. They rallied it right up into this OTE short zone, and basically since that tag, we're just coming straight down here in a hurry. So it's fascinating to see that it looks like your guys' prognostication seems to be coming true. So well done on your analysis there. Glad you didn't get sucked up into that buying euphoria. All right, so it's about 5:30 now. I think we have a pretty good idea of the fundamental situation. Looks like Joseph is. Yeah, I guess that. So you're agreeing on your comment, like that. I'm just being silly. All right. So what I'll do, and what I like to do, keep in mind, guys, is why don't I'll just take a couple minutes here, talk a little bit about who I am, and where my, what my background is, so that the viewers can understand. I take a little bit more conservative approach to investing and even speculating in the market. I like to get lots of confirmation, and then we'll get to sort of my chart analysis. And if I just PM'd Ron there a few minutes ago, he's also, I think I made reference to him. He's an active member on TradingView. He said he'll try and pop in as soon as the kids calm down and he has a free moment. So hopefully we'll get to hear from him as well. Where's my little schedule? Here we are. Just regular viewers. Basically, I like to take a few minutes, just talk a little bit about what I'm seeing in the marketplace. I like to make sure that I cover all, the higher time frames. So that those people that are new to the Bitcoin community, new to this idea, they at least understand sort of the bigger picture, because we as traders, we sometimes get wrapped up in the 15-minute, 1-hour charts, and a lot of new people, they get a little overwhelmed at a lot of the short-term stuff. So I am getting lots of beeps here, so that tells me that maybe I'm getting private messages. I'm not quite sure. Maybe that's somebody else. I think we're okay here. That's fine. Anybody who is on the YouTube channel, you're more than welcome to leave questions, comments. I don't know whether you see Flibbr. Jerry George is said hello to you on the YouTube channel. And it looks like Jerry's pretty bullish. Am I interpreting that correct?
I don't know, but Jerry, I recognize your little profile picture. I recognize that.
That was me being silly. Obviously, I think he's a tad bit bearish. But anyway, if you are on the YouTube channel and you would like to post a question, I see we have quite a few viewers there. Feel free to post there.
Come on over, Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry, if you want to come into the YouTube channel, or excuse me, the Google Hangout, I'm going to post that Hangout address. If you'd like, like if I understand correctly, I've heard a few people, and you're the Benjamin person. I've heard a few people make reference to you. So we'd love to hear what your two cents is on your. What do we got here? Oh, I see. So you're sending messages here. Oh, I see. I had so many messages to follow.
Messages left, right, center.
No, it's crazy. But anyway, okay. So.
Let's see chat.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm going to start right at the beginning. So just nice and simple, everybody. My name's Brian Beamish. I bill myself as the Canadian Rational Investor. I was a full-service investment advisor. I've worked in the Canadian securities industry for the better part of 20 years. I was a broker, licenses to trade stocks, bonds, mutual funds. I was a licensed commodities broker, options broker. Basically, I hit sort of the professional peak in Canada. I got the Fellow of the Canadian Securities Institute designation. And promptly after I figured I'd done everything I needed to do in the industry, I left, which makes sense, of course, and I went out on my own. I bill myself as a rational analyst. What is rational investing, you ask? Basically, I like, this term was coined by a gentleman by the name of John Bollinger. You may have heard the term Bollinger Bands. He was the creator of those. In essence, rational analysis is the intersection between technical and fundamental analysis. And ideally, we only really want to take trades, and this is, those that consider themselves rational investors, when the technicians and the fundamentalists agree. I think we can make the basic argument for, the basic fundamental argument for what Bitcoin represents. The question ultimately for a guy like me is I want to see the technical picture clean itself up and get both of these camps agreeing that we're in a bull market before I start, really pounding the table that this is a buy. So first and foremost, we'll pull up, I don't think we need to touch on the weekly chart, just to save time here. We don't want this to go on forever. This is a daily price chart of the Bitfinex. This is the market that I happen to trade Bitcoins with. As you can clearly see, since December, we've been basically making lower highs and lower lows, which to a technician is a simple message that we're in a bear market. A nice simple tool that everyone can use. If you see M's in price action, that's bearish, and if you see W's in price action, that's bullish. So if we concentrate our effort on looking for these kind of price action, then it gives us a pretty good idea of what the technicians are thinking. So you could make an argument that the last really bullish breakout for Bitcoin, if we're looking for M's and W's, came, when price basically tanked, came back up, sold off, and put in a W, right? And so you could argue, as I have this red line on here, our last sort of weekly buy signal on Bitcoin came in on a breakthrough through this high here, which was about $135. Clearly, we already knew that the fundamental story was bullish, and that 135 buy level, you look like an absolute genius only a few months later. So, with that same sort of premise in mind, you can see up near this 100,000, or excuse me, 100,000, 1,000 area, we started putting in the M-type patterns. So, this basically tells us, all right, we're in a bear market. Here's another M here that came in, some more bearishness. And then coupled with the very well-defined M-top type action, we had bottoms that look like V's. And unfortunately, V bottoms are indicative of bear markets. So not only do we have well-defined M tops, but we also had lots of V bottoms. So that day basically confirmed that we were in a bear market, and really, Joe Sixpack sitting on the sidelines. I want to buy Bitcoins as a good investment idea. I really don't know what I'm doing. My advice, just very simply put, is we need to see the market stop making V's and start making W's. Now, as you can see by this long rectangular box, this green box, institutions themselves, I don't think there's an institution on the planet today that hasn't at least heard of the Bitcoin story. And you recall this is right around Christmas time. You'll recall, we heard stories about people getting Bitcoins in their stockings, and CNBC's talking about Bitcoin every 5 minutes. Clearly, we were in a euphoric top. M-type price action, bear market starts. And basically, we've taken the past 5 or 6 months and have cleaned up this euphoric optimism. And what's fascinating is I'm a really big fan of a gentleman by the name of Michael Huddleston. He has a YouTube channel called The Inner Circle Trader. Anybody who really fancies themselves as a technical analyst or a trader for that matter, I would highly, highly, highly encourage you to take the time and watch Mr. Huddleston's videos on YouTube. They're all free. Specifically, this Inner Circle Trader Scout Sniper Field Guide series. You can see there are 8 parts. You can see that each video is about an hour long. So lots and lots of information for you to chew on. But one of his main tenets as an institutional investor is that institutions don't buy these up markets. They just won't buy them. It's just as simple as that. So the question ultimately becomes, all right, if they won't buy these up markets, where do they often buy? And it turns out that there is a specific zone on most of price charts where the institutions will start getting interested in taking positions, and that's this long green rectangular box. It's also referred to as the optimal trade entry, and in essence it is this 61.8 to 78.6 Fibonacci retracement levels. Now the irony of it all is that you actually had a lot of institutional people come out with public reports and encourage the public to buy around $1,000. Goldman Sachs. But we all know that at any time you hear Goldman Sachs tell you to do something publicly, odds are you probably should do the exact opposite thing. And sure enough, that recommendation at $1,000 was completely the wrong thing to do. And it wouldn't surprise me if Goldman Sachs was one of the people that engineered this sell-off. What I find very interesting when I look at this price chart is you'll notice that time and time again, when price spikes down into this green rectangular box, it quickly reversed out of that zone. So here we are comfortably now trading in that zone. So my hunch, and it's interesting because Flibbr and I are constantly talking about this, we just feel like you can actually tangibly feel both public sentiment turning against Bitcoin. You can also feel that the retail investor, ironically enough, it's a lot of the people that are sort of new to Bitcoins that come to TradingView looking for, the next hot idea. I can tangibly feel that they're getting exhausted. And, lastly, to all of this, I find it very interesting that the United States government itself has said that in early June they're expecting to launch a U.S. listed exchange that's regulated, which in my opinion will be the next major catalyst to start the next bull wave. And really that's only now about a month away. And, last show I had commented that, I would just love to be able to close my eyes as a Bitcoin investor. I would love to be able to just close my eyes, open them, and boom, it's June 1st and we're through May. Because sadly in May, there is a cliche in the stock market that says sell in May and walk away. My hunch is that, yes, we are closer to the bottom than the top, but we're probably due for another few weeks of real wild, shaky action down here before we can really start laying the basis for the next bull run. Having said that, we are in the OTE zone. So that means that if institutions are buyers, this is the zone that they are going to be interested in buying. So to that end, while I am in cash right at the moment, I've got a whole bunch of stink bids to just slowly buy as levels are tripped up here, because I believe personally we're much closer to the bottom than we are the top. Now I just have to sit and be patient. This is my trading plan. As an investment advisor, I encourage everyone to have a trading plan. And you're only as good as your discipline in sticking to your trading plan. The plan itself may be flawed, but the problem we get into as traders and speculators is that, when you're right in the moment, and, like people love to watch this Hyperion site, when you're right in the moment and you get one of these dumps, unfortunately, the human emotion starts to take over the trade, and we actually end up throwing logic out the window when we start getting these wild gyrations. So that, in my opinion, is why it's very, very important for investors to have trading plans to work with. All right, so that's sort of the bigger picture. What am I seeing on the daily perspective? Like I said, we bid in basically a 6-month bear market. The public is starting to lose interest. We're heading into the summertime. People are interested in going to the beach and going camping and playing sports and being active outdoors. They're probably going to be spending less time glued to the computer screen. And what a coincidence, through this entire bear run, all we have done is just come back down into the area where the institutions actually are interested in buying this issue. All right, now if we zoom in a little bit and look at the shorter term perspective, this is now a 4-hour chart. You can see here's this panic low down to 340 and the quick jackknife back up to 547. If we look at that action, again, if you're a trader, institutions have absolutely no interest in trading on the long side a market, in the 520, 530, 540 area. Where would they be interested in buying? Well, again, if we apply our simple OTE principle, you can see how the market has slowly worked its way back down to the point where we're just kissing the top of this OTE zone. So, the panic low that we made just this past week or so was 419.40, and you can see the top of this OTE zone, the 61.8, was 419.07. So we're not quite there yet, and this thing is driving me nuts how slowly and tortuously this move down into the OTE zone has been. but we're still not there yet. So I, as someone who's sticking to my trading plan, I just have my orders working. I've got a little nibbles going on down in this area, and I just have to sit and wait patiently. Now, could that picture change? Of course. If we start getting higher lows and higher highs, where we get these W-type price patterns in, then I definitely will start getting more bullish, and I'll stop, working stink bids, and I might just go and buy breakouts. But as you can see, this low, this 419.40, it was lower than the previous low of 423.80. So, technically speaking, we're still making lower highs and lower lows, and hopefully you can understand that we're still making M's, right? Lots of M-type action. Now, we got the first smatterings of a little bit of a W here. Very, very short term. I don't know how long lasting this will be, but it is encouraging for bulls that we are at least starting to see price patterns that are higher lows and higher highs. But you'll see that just a week or so ago we did that same kind of price pattern. They rallied it up into resistance, and then the bear took over again. And my feeling, and I think the message you're probably going to get from people who are talking tonight, is that the rally that we're experiencing right now is sort of that kind of dead cat bounce scenario. And we may yet still see new lows. If I look at some simple internal indicators, I do see that volume here is trying desperately to bottom after making a new low. In fact, really you could argue that volume, we had heavy selling of the 340, lighter selling here at this low, even lighter selling, and now actually the OBV trend has turned up. So, that's encouraging. Again, as we sort of spoke about earlier, it feels like the sellers are getting exhausted, and I think you can see that on the OBV. When we look at my momentum studies, I have two studies that I follow. First and foremost, I use modified Williams percentage R indicator to give me sort of my overbought and oversold signals. And you'll see just recently on this low, we did Willie here is the name of this indicator. It's a percentage Williams percentage R indicator with a 13 EMA on it. We did actually just very briefly, the moving average got into the oversold zone and it crossed bullishly. So, that's supportive of at least the market was getting a little stupid in selling. And sure enough, my simple adage is, and I built this indicator as a broker, because I wanted to keep myself out of trouble. So the easiest way to keep yourself out of trouble is when an indicator like this says that the market's oversold, for heaven's sakes, don't sell. And sure enough, prices rallied appreciably away from that level. Does it mean that the bear market is over and that this is a screaming buy and the market will not go back down there? No, it doesn't mean that whatsoever. It just means that in this particular case, in this particular circumstance, selling at this 419, 420 level was not a good idea. And sure enough, that's been validated. All right. Moving on to a shorter term. We look at now at an hourly chart. So we're zooming in a little bit more. I had actually, if we zoom this out even a little bit more for you, you can see that and this is a pretty busy chart, so I apologize if it's a bit overwhelming for you, but just bear with me. First and foremost, here's that 340 low, here's the 547 high. The last sort of the last posting that I did on TradingView, I had pointed out that we had very well-defined M tops, and I was getting out. So I basically sold whatever positions I had at a little bit above $500. And as I told you earlier, I'm basically just sitting in cash and working stink bids. As you can see, on the post, I actually did a little write-up saying I'd like to see a move down into this OTE area for me to start getting interested on the bull side. We came down, and you'll see that I posted. It was very interesting how we were playing right off of these trend lines, right above the OTE level. We came again, tested another trend line right above the top of the OTE level. So she's just sort of teasing me a little bit here. If I was to get a counter trend rally off of the 1 hours, where would, using that basic principle that institutions do not sell down markets, they sell up markets. So, just based off of this peak, obviously, there's a big dump here on the China ban news, all that kind of fun stuff. So if an institution was going to try and play this market structure, where would they be likely to short? And it looks to me, just based off of OTEs, that 472 to 487 area is perfectly realistic. I mean, if we did get a rally up into that area, it wouldn't surprise me a lot. Having said that, you'll also, regular viewers of mine will know how much I like the 38.2 fib. I call it my first stop target, and I find it really interesting that this 38.2 fib was basically exactly where the market stopped. It stopped at 453.60, and that's 452.07. I mean, you really can't get much closer than that. So, as well on the hourly chart, you see we have what's called an inverted head and shoulders. So what that means is that here's a shoulder, here's the head here, here's another shoulder, and this is our neckline right along here. So a break above the neckline will imply the distance from the neckline to the head is your target off of the neckline if we break through it. And that just so happens to be right at this 453 area as well. So it makes a lot of sense why the market stalled where it did on this dead cat bounce. All right, so that's our sort of hourly perspective. It wouldn't surprise me at all if we clean this up and work our way up into the OTE. Having said that, based on what you're going to hear from some of the other participants, that outcome is in doubt, at least for the time being. So also supporting the short notion, I did see that Willie just briefly kissed the stupidly overbought zone here. Nice double top on Willie. So it looks like he needs to clean himself up a little bit before our next move higher. And indeed, I mean, just in the past hour or so, price has fallen from 453 back down to 438. So that cleanup process is basically underway. All right, so let's go take a look now at the very short-term price action and see if this stuff makes sense. So if we now, and let's zoom out a little bit here for you. Okay, so lots of more squiggly lines to confuse the heck out of you. I apologize if it's a bit overwhelming, but just bear with me here. Okay, so starting off, you remember that we said that off of this entire move, the 38.2, or what we call our first stop target, was that 452 area. What I find really interesting is if you draw a fib off of this high, this 463.53 high, down to this low, guess what also pops up in that 450 area? And here is that fib. So there's the high, 463. There's the low, 419. I think that should be 40. What's the low there? 60. Well, for the purpose of this seminar, we'll just leave it at that because I don't want to waste a lot of your time. Look at what 450 is based off of just this one move alone. It is the 70.5 fib, or what we remember we called it, the optimal trade entry short window. So clearly, you know, we had 38.2 on the hourlies, we had inverted head and shoulders, and on the 15-minute, we had this OTE short sweet spot. Put it all together, when the market did move into this zone, what I thought was really interesting, you'll see that this high here, this is the 444.40 level. Momentum, our raw reading of momentum, was at 1.9322. Yet this move here, price was higher, 453.60, and yet our raw momentum indicator only hit 99.11, 0.9911. In essence, this is what technicians call a bearish momentum divergence, where we have prices moving higher, but momentum itself, let's see if I can get that, momentum itself was making lower highs. So, excellent little tool for anybody out there in internet land watching. Something everybody can use in their trading is the concept of divergence, okay? Where basically momentum made a high, price made a high. Price made a higher high, but momentum did not make a higher high. Couple that with the fact that Willie was basically getting up into this sort of nosebleed section, and the fact that this was an OTE short sweet spot, and the fact that it was an inverted head and shoulders target, and the fact that it was a 38.2 fib touch on the higher time frames. And I think you can make a pretty realistic, justifiable argument to short this level. So anybody who did short this level, way to go. I think that was actually a very good trade. I know there was somebody earlier that it was in one of my tutorials, and he told me he shorted that level. On first blush, I was like, well, we are moving higher, but then after some more analysis and taking a really good look at price action, momentum divergences, yada, 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 I actually like this idea. It's not a bad idea. We actually had a little bit of a bearish ABCD pattern. And indeed, price came screaming down to the 38.2 and went all the way to the 50% level. Right now, we're battling in this area, and you can see that that was basically the target of a bearish ABCD, right? So this is AB, and then CD paints a target here, and sure enough, boom, that was hit. So those that were fortunate to short off the top, way to go. Hopefully you sold a little bit here. I suppose you can make a very realistic argument that, you know, if you were considering buying and you believed that this market structure was bullish, i.e. higher lows and higher highs, then you could justifiably take a really hard look at buying this 432.90 area. I personally would need to see a nice bullish momentum divergence, so that's the exact opposite scenario, where we hopefully will see higher lows and higher highs on the momentum. So hopefully the momentum will look something like this, where we go up and then down and then up like that. At the same time, we'd like to see price actually make lower lows and then turn. So if we get a bullish momentum divergence setup here, this might actually represent a half-decent little trade. It's far too early for me to start pounding the table on a little short-term setup. As regular viewers will know, I'm not trading a lot of coins. I've got maybe $500 that I'm playing with on Bitcoin. So as a result, I take a little bit higher time frame trades. It's not really economically in my best interest to try and mess around with this, considering commissions and all those. So I'm more than happy. I've got my stink bids. I want to be buying where the institutions are going to be buying. and I'm just going to slowly accumulate if we can get a move down into this OTE zone or lower. I'm not going to buy all of my coins all at one shot. I'm just going to slowly stage myself into the market. So, short-term traders, not a bad little inverted head and shoulders you could have played. 435 up to 450, so clip it for 15, 20 bucks. I think you could make a pretty good justifiable argument. You might even, well, I wouldn't call it rational. I would just simply say technical. That in this 450 area we had reason to go short, and that trade seems to be working its way out. And I'm going to personally be watching price action and how it relates to momentum as we get into this 430 area to see whether we have a justifiable case to consider a speculative long trade. As I said before, I'm working stink bids below. I'm not really in a big hurry to buy. Like I said, we've got a funny little window here that I still think we need to get through. You know, we don't have W patterns working. These are still V bottoms. So because of that, I'm just sitting in the sidelines. I'm very patient, but I do believe we're closer to the bottom than we are the top. All right, so that's basically my summary. Mr. Flibbr, are you there, sir?
Yep. Okay, I'm here.
All right. The audience is yours. It's now 6 o'clock, so I finished on time. Way to go, Brian. Maybe what we should do is, and I'm not quite sure how to do this, but it was recommended that we're supposed to take like a 1-minute pause between sections. So I'm going to put my stopwatch on now. Let's go 30 seconds. All right. In fact, let's see if I can play our theme music. Once the theme music ends. All right. You want to just?
Well, I was going to say, Brian, we could have a minute's silence for the fallen bulls that bought at the top on that last little spike.
All right. It's on. Go. Oh, this is painful. I can't do it.
It's a long minute. It's a long minute, you know. But yeah, a lot of people bought at the top there. I was watching them. I was watching Willie at the top, and I was thinking, you guys are in big trouble. But yeah, let me run through my charts then, because I've got a few charts.
No, completely understandable. I mean, I'm not quite sure how we're supposed to do these breaks, but we're working on it.
Well, I tell you what you can do. You could just leave it. You could just say, you know, if anybody's got any questions, just post them. You know, just gives it a bit of time for some questions, doesn't it? Like specifically while we're still here looking at your chart. You know, has anybody got anything for Brian about his chart?
And I would like.
Yeah. Joe Blogs in the YouTube. He said your chart's rubbish. You should give up.
That sounds about par for the course. You know what? I think we're good to go. So.
All right. Okay. Well.
I think I'm gonna put myself on mute. You now have the floor for basically the next half hour. So, you know, you just do your spiel, and I'll be sitting in the background. I might chime in every once in a while, but basically the stage is yours.
All right, have you put it on my screen share, have you?
I think so. I'm not very sure about this.
Yeah, just click it on to my thing.
I see the little doggy. What kind of doggy is that?
Click off me and then back on. It should come on my screen then.
Ooh, I'm getting the 3D screen. Keeps going and going.
Yeah. Okay. You got it. You got it now.
All right.
Okay. Okay. So I got quite a few charts, but they're all pretty brief. But I've just broken it down to like nice bite-sized chunks, and basically you took the wind out of my sail with your debrief there, Brian, because we are absolutely, completely, and utterly singing off the same hymn sheet here.
If you disagree with me, just say so. You know.
No, I don't. I agree with you. I agree with you. But I'm on pretty much everything, which is really annoying. But listen, right. So I'm going to start off. This is a 15-minute, so this is pretty much now as you're watching it, and I'm looking to take out a little short-term trade here. You know, probably short-term, probably lasts like 3-4 hours. but I'm not going to be sticking around for long. And that is, it is this last candle that come down. I'm going to make this a little bit brighter, a little bit bigger so you can see it. This big candle that come down, settle level 437. And if you know about candles, you know that when they make a big one like that, the top's resistance, the bottom support. So I'm just kind of placing bids around 337 and a little bit below, down to 435, around this range. This is where I'm just buying now. I mean, these are high risk trades. These are what I would call high risk trades. What the hell's happened to this? Glued to it. Yeah, I've got bids in around here, so I'm just trying to catch something down at the bottom. And the reason why it is because I think there's going to be, you see 15-minute Willie, he's working his way down, and he probably won't go stupid because he doesn't always, but he does come down, you know, quite regularly to kind of here, and after such a strong bullish move, he definitely won't go stupid. And also the MACD looks like it might just be turning around as well. You can see it actually is turning around. Very much it could do, you know, another down leg. But either way, so I think there will be a bounce here. Maybe even looks, if you look at the candles, maybe even looks like it's starting to curve up a little bit, so I won't get filled. But you know, I don't want to get filled up here. That's no interest at all. But I don't mind getting filled up down here and letting go back up here. Anything from like a $7 to $10 move, that'll be. So that's of interest. And the other thing is, if that does happen, it could be, you know, a little head and shoulder top, which will be after a nice big strong up leg. So kind of looking for that. And these other levels, I just took them off the bottom of my candles. These aren't fibs, these are just bottom of candles. Will probably be, you know, worth keeping an eye on. 430, 25, 21. I mean, we knew 25 was well fought over anyway. This whole kind of level was pretty well fought over. But the other thing is, if it does do a little head and shoulders, there's a good chance 15-minute Willie won't go right back up to the top, because on a larger time scale he's actually coming down, and it kind of ends up doing this. You can see it. I've just drawn a trend line on it. It kind of ends up doing that. You can kind of watch it. You can actually trade that trend line on the Willie as well. It's pretty accurate. So yeah, so 15-minute, looking to probably get in filled up here, sell up here, and that'd be sweet. Don't want to get filled up here because selling up here is just not enough in it. And you know, I'm thinking down overall. So probably wrong, but that's what I'm thinking. So that's my 15-minute outlook for right now. Moving to this is the hourly, and that's one thing of the hourly. By the way, this big black trend line, this is actually from the top spike to that spike. For anybody that wants to know where that's come from. So yeah, so this is hourly, and just using Willie as a kind of rough guide, you can see anytime Willie has a, you know, pretty much a stupid spike right up at the top. I mean, it's nothing to rely on 100%. He could quite easily come up and do that. He could do another one. I've seen him do that. He'll trick you. He'll trick you into thinking this is a top, and sometimes he'll come along and do this, and you're like, and that's the worst, because then it just never ends. But so yeah, so don't rely on him 100%. But you can see, you know, more likely than not, he does pick tops pretty well on the hourly. I mean, you can see this one here. If you've got this is like a lot of bearish divergence on this one. You can see it had no kind of support. But yeah, you see the hourly tops like here, 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 here. Here. So these are good topping points. That's why I said, so if you're playing the 15-minute candles on this one, if you work on the assumption that the overall trend is down, when you're playing the 15-minute candles, you know, you're playing counter trend to what the actual movement is. So like I said, you know, make sure you do buy low and don't stick around too long, because you don't want to be left holding the bag, and then you've got difficult decisions to make. So the other thing worth noting as well is when, I mean, definitely apply this indicator, but when 1 hour Willie gets to the top, the level of panic buying is absolutely beyond reason. I mean, it's just such a brilliant indicator. I mean, it gets to here, it gets to like 448, and I sold at 444, and it gets to 448, and the level of panic buying is so intense. I even want to panic buy back in. I'm thinking, this thing's going off to the moon. I'm going to panic buy back in too, and I pretty much do it at the top of every. I didn't know that one, but the top of every 1 hour Willy it kind of tricks you, and it's just when the buying gets so intense that you just want to buy. And I wanted to buy back in. I thought I've sold 444 here. It's 448. Touching 450. What have I done? I'm an idiot. I sold too early. And then I looked at 1 hour Willy and I was like, thank you. You've saved me. So 1 hour Willy is a great tool to tell you when not to buy. Just don't buy when it's at the top, and it will just save you becoming a bag holder all the time. And but watch out on the bottom, because let's say, for example, this whole region, Willy hit the bottom here, but that was only there, and it dropped a lot more. Like I said, good indicator, but it's not the golden egg. It's just another tool.
Well, if anything, what you've done here, Andre, and the viewers should really appreciate this, is that they say, like if those that use stochastics or any of these sort of momentum oscillators, is the signals that they generate, like in a bear market, those indicators won't give you buys levels. They will give you awesome sell signals. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I might argue that that's sort of the same sort of thing. We're in a bear market, so the oscillators will give you awesome sell levels. So when they go to those extreme sell levels, as you sort of pointed out, they're not going to stay there very long, and those are the signals. So yeah, I just wanted to dovetail that with what you were saying.
Yeah, bang on. And if you look at Willy on the actual bull run data, kind of November or last year, April 13, you'll see that you couldn't rely on this at all, because in the bull market, Willy just comes up and he goes, and he just rides the top. You'd have sold here at 200 and here'd be 1,000. So yeah, good for picking tops, but not good for picking bottoms, because it will just ride the floor for a lot longer than you expect.
Well, so the question is, you have to respect what the broader trend is, right? So if you're going to use Willy, just put it into context with what kind of market we're in.
Yeah, and so if you're playing the counter trend, if you're playing the up leg, on the overall down move, so like say this is an brilliant example, so it's come up here, which would be like coming up here, and then it's going to come down, which is what I'm saying here, and then it's going to go for a little uptick. So if you're playing that uptick, that's what I'm saying, it's a risky move, because you don't want to be left on the back, so make sure you do get a low buy and don't hang around too long, and that way you'll stay safe. And if you set a low buy and you don't get filled, so what? It's on its way down anyway. So, just try and play it safe. So that's the 15-minute, and that's the hourly. And then, funny, you just mentioned this, Brian. This is the 4-hourly, and just what you're saying about market structure. Here we go. And I spoke to you about this before. It's that overall we are making lower lows every time, lower, 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 and lower highs. And the other thing worth noting as well is this 100 EMA on the 4-hour. Before, it was acting as support here, and we're bouncing off it. Whereas now, it's very much acting as resistance. So definitely worth keeping your eye on that one as well. If you like to use the EMAs as levels, they're pretty good, especially on Bitcoin Wisdom, because you can just plug them in. So market structure for me still remains bearish until we take out this kind of 460, 470 kind of level. 470 is a lot of candle tops there. Until we take out 470 and close above it on an hourly, I'm still thinking down. I know everything's looking oversold and stuff, but just still feel down. So that pretty much reflected in the rest of my chart. So this again is a 4-hour, but just different setup. And I just drew an ABCD bear target off this high here and that move. And I think you had the same one, Brian. And yeah, I mean, it takes you straight into the heart of the OTE zone.
Those are where my bids are.
Yeah, and we've been talking about this target for for a long time, like on it working its way to it. So
it's interesting that the rally that we just had came to where it did, eh? I mean, it's almost like this shit's predetermined. It's fascinating.
Yeah, very. I mean, the ABCD hard targets have just been brilliant on this. So many dead on hits. So I wouldn't be surprised if sellers do take control here. Yeah, they might not. It might go up. There's no reason to say this can't turn into a little flag and a little pennant and take off. Who knows? But overall, I say that the outlook's still down. And so if sellers do kind of think, you know what, things still going down, I wouldn't be surprised to see 400, 407. I think what's that target? That's 405. But yeah, 407, 405. Anywhere around there kind of still looks good. So and that could just be like a panic. It could just be like a panic dip. It could just be like whoop, like that. But always look for the second low. Whenever it does a dip and it takes off, don't worry, it will come back. Because it's like here, it's like we made this low, but we can't really rally off it properly until we've really put this to the test. We've said, look, we've launched off it, but is it really any good? And that's what it always has to do every time. So like this one, it rallied off it, it came down, test if the level was any good, and it found out it's not. So, it's like this one, down, went up, come down to test it, found out it wasn't. So it always likes to check the price, check it for a ground, and that's why the W's come from. It goes up, it comes back down, it checks the price, finds it strong, then it's got a good base to work on. This here, this big V, no base. We don't know how good this is. So that's my 4-hourly. This one though, this is why I've really been working myself up. This is I just got a couple of charts now, daily and weekly, and these are really important right now. Really
There's no
important.
problem. We got lots of time. Take your time. Just go slowly.
I can't. Everybody's going psycho about this because this to me is the absolute apex of where we're at. I mean, if you drew some trend lines off the top of the peaks, the red one being kind of like the super bear, and the pink one being kind of medium-term bear, we're still beneath those, and this green line here is running off way down Silk Road support from the bottom to there to Silk Road support. So it kind of creates this little triangle. We know all the charts love triangles, and so really we're at a bit of a decision point. And I did put this kind of candle overlay here to say we could rally up to 460. I mean, 4 hour says that there's potential for it. And then falling down, I don't think so myself, but there's potential. It could do, who knows? But if we do break this Silk Road support trend line, then the door, in my opinion, is definitely open to do a big dive. And I'll show you why in the weekly. So this is the weekly. This is my baby, this one. And so what we've got here is this crazy top from way back 2011. The problem is the Bitstamp data is not super hot on this because it's so quiet then on Stamp. But still, take the data off we got. So from this top, cutting through this one, creates a nice slice through the top there, so that's pretty cool. And I've just followed that up. And this is Silk Road support, this green one. And Brian, when you said before about price volatility decreasing, as it follows this up, each bubble, can get decrease in the volatility in the price, versus the initial ones is the one theory. But it also looks a bit like a rising wedge as well. So wouldn't surprise me to have at some point some breakdown on it. But the other thing is that is this really logarithmic growth, or is this log on log? Have we just gone totally parabolic here, and we need to return to the mean, which could be this pink line level. It looks pretty good, and also this black line level could be pretty good. So if this Silk Road support, which is a green one, if that does give way, like I say, a retest of the bottom could be in order, 350, 360. I think 380 will be the first midpoint myself. But if that does decide it doesn't want to hold up, it could be down. I mean, I don't like down. I don't want to see down, but there's no reason why we couldn't have a super long. Every week rolls by, new buyers aren't turning up, miners have got to sell coins to pay the bills. There's no reason why not. So these are my kind of levels down here. But if this support line does hold and we decide to kind of start riding up it like we did before, then just took these candles off this, typical trajectory really based on what it's done in the past. But
so my theory there is I believe the market is getting ready for this U.S. listing. So if we hear news that that's going to be delayed, then I think that paints your bear scenario. Mm-hmm. If, however, that goes through, then I think that paints your bull scenario. And so it's really interesting how the market's coming to a major apex right here, right? And I think it probably will be that. Sadly, if everybody's anticipating something, it would make perfect. I've seen it happen before, where just the bureaucrats come out and say, "Well, we've decided we're going to postpone 6 months." And so then we have to go through another 6 months of torture.
Yeah.
What we need is a reason for this market to rally. What is the reason? So, and from what I understand, I hear it on a continual basis. There is billions and billions of dollars sitting on the sidelines just waiting for some sort of North American exchange that's regulated that they can start floating ETFs off of and all that. So really, I think that's the apex that we're heading towards.
I agree with you. I think, I just put this vertical line in. This is the 10th date, for that International Bitcoin Conference in China. It's pretty much on the apex of that triangle. But yeah, like you said, we needed a reason to rally. We had China in the past. The 266 one was Bitcoin's initial kind of like exposure on TV, radio, mass awakening into Bitcoin. The next bubble was China, and the next one's got to be the big money because to do logarithmic growth, it's exponentially harder to push it up. To go from $10 to go from 100 to 1,000 is really hard. It takes a lot of money. To go from 400, 1,000 to 10,000 is an order of magnitude more amount of money. It's a lot of money, and for that amount of money to come into Bitcoin, what's it gonna take for that to happen? And the regulated U.S. exchange, could be the one, but if that's not happening for a while, then there's every chance, and that's why I think it seems likely that this buyers are not. Every rally is short-lived. Sellers are putting up stiff resistance, and it wouldn't surprise me to retest the low, have bounces, and every time you take a step down, that price becomes a new acceptable level. When it was 1,000, people would sell their homes for Bitcoin at 400. Here we are at 400, and it's sitting there down at 420. Nobody wanted to touch it with a barge pole. So every time it goes down, the price becomes a new acceptable level. And you could quite easily 2 or 3 months time still nothing good happening to take a dive. There's no reason why not, but I hope not. I hope we just go to the moon. I just want to hold and just watch this thing rally like hell. But you've got to ask yourself, what's it going to take right now for it to rally like hell? There's, China's gone. The China fad is over. The initial Bitcoin exposure is over. We need something new to rally about. That could be the institutional money taking us to 6,000, for example, and then after that, it could be kind of like a global adoption of world, reserve currency used by banks and to pay for oil or whatever, and that could be what takes it to 30, 40,000. Who knows, but we need something. We need something to make people say, "I'm buying it first." No, I'm buying it first. Get out of my way. I'm buying it first. We need some of that mentality back to get the bull run going, and they need justification. There's a lot of justification to sell. The reasons to buy is still thin on the ground.
All right, well said.
So yeah, this one thing for the bullish thing I just thought I would point out, and that is it's the only thing I could find to really give it any bullish weight at all, and that is the previous low. If you took those as the lows off Willie, is pretty much at the same level. And there's a lot of things, kind of but RSI could go down a lot more still. But that's the only thing I could really find, on the larger time scales to say this could be a bottoming. So.
Yeah, that RSI, you see that massive double top there, eh? That's a bit concerning. But anyway.
Yeah, and I just wonder, has anybody got any questions for me about anything I've just said? Does anybody want to commit suicide? Here you go. Hope you're. So you think second market's BTC investment offer, even though it doesn't really touch BTC, will affect us? Are they doing that now? Well, BTC investment, second market, they're just buying coins like hell, and that, to be honest, I feel really happy that they're buying loads of coins because they are stacking, the safe full of coins. And they're not going to do that and just let them go to nothing. They're not going to do that and let them go to $200 a coin. They're going to want to protect that investment. So that in itself is going to be one for them. And like the more players get involved in Bitcoin, the more they want it to succeed. So they're going to be like telling their other big, in the club, boys club mates, hey, Bitcoin's great. You should buy some, to help try and promote it along. So that's what I think, anyway. Who else? Anybody else got anything? No.
What's the second market? I don't know what that is.
Second market. Do you use Elliott waves at all? I don't, because I'm just not well versed in it. To me, Elliott wave is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 A, B, C. That's all I know. I don't know any of the rules. I just follow Dan V. he's the Elliott wave man, isn't he? But a second market is it's like a Bitcoin it's BIP. It's called. Yeah, Joseph said he can explain the second market. Shoot, Joseph. I see your voice.
So they're just an investment fund. They've taken to investing in Bitcoin as of late, and I think the current count that they're holding is 100,000 plus. They've been buying that all in this 400 level over the past few weeks or months. I believe they're trying to open up something similar to what the Winklevoss twins are doing, if you're familiar with that.
Not really? Why don't you explain?
Well, the Winklevoss twins, they have a large holding in Bitcoin. They're trying to get an ETF open that you could just buy through, a regular broker as a way to get Wall Street money in.
Okay, yeah, that sort of dovetails to what I've been yammering about, eh?
Yeah, it's not an actual U.S. Bitcoin exchange. It would be like buying any other ETF you would off the stock market. And so the idea is that it's regulated, and so that takes a lot of the risk away for the U.S. investors that are concerned about that. Second market is just doing something similar to that. It's just really notable that they have over 100,000 coins and they're still buying.
And it's interesting how you said they're buying right in this sort of $400 zone, and
Yeah,
that's
the OT.
yeah. I mean, it's not a coincidence that these things all seem to line up, eh?
Yeah.
All right. So it's about 6:30-ish. I mean, the market isn't that hot, so it's understandable why we might be a little, slower here, I suppose. I don't know if that's the best word or not. As we're sort of flirting around 38.2 here, congrats to those that shorted off the top on the 15-minute, and hope you made some good money off of that. All us slow and steady players were all just sort of treading water, waiting for some sort of confirmation that the bear has finished its play. I'm going to pop over to the YouTube channel, just see if we have any comments there. Looks like Tim really likes your analysis, Flibbr, so awesome for that. Thank you for the compliment, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
It's about 6:30 now, so by these days shows don't have to be 2 hours, but if we've basically exhausted the question, we're getting a little bit of a dump here, so that's good.
Oh, nice.
Those that are short.
China's going.
What do we got here? Oh, see, I was watching this earlier today, and I was wondering how all these broader markets could roll over without Hobie breaking down, but it looks like now Hobie's joined the party too. So
yeah, I mean, there's something else I'd just like to add here is you could watch in real time this pump happening on China. This was a very, very aggressive pump. I mean, whether it's a pump, artificially, or whether it's just a pump of sheer exuberant buying totally naturally, it looks really artificial, really, really artificial. But
so
the other thing worth noting,
that's a question that I have, because I heard a couple people say that today. I think Joseph, you made reference to that. So tell me, what are some of the telltales that you see that make you believe that a run is a pump and not an actual justifiable rally?
well, if yeah, you can't. I mean, you can't see it so much because I can't print screen that one. But if I go back to Bitcoin Wisdom, I mean, a typical. Let me take a screenshot of this. A typical order book, looks a little bit like this, like that. Bid support down here, ask support up here, and people kind of fighting in the middle, and the price kind of going this way, and goes this way, and it's all pretty balanced. So if it's bullish, maybe it'll be like this, and this one will be really thin. And it'll just be like people just keep chipping away at it, and people just can't believe it. It just keeps chipping away at it. It can be bullish the other way as well. So it can be many things, but you'll notice when it's a pump one, it just stands out like a sore thumb, and that's because the ask side looks like this, and the bid side looks like this. And it's because basically people are just sticking huge amount of bids like right at the front here, right in this front window, and it's not really being supported. You can say it's not being supported because it's going up so fast, but normally if price spikes up a lot, people don't really chase it up that hard. It kind of, it's a kind of a slower. That's why it kind of pennants and then it goes up because people are reluctant, aren't they? So it's they're very much natural behaviors, but I don't know. You can just see it. When you do it, you can just see it. So I mean, these are probably like key events. Something happened here, and you could actually see this one roll up, but you could just see it happening, I guess. You just got to watch the order book on that website I've put, cryptowat.ch, cryptowatch/Hubi. Just watch the order book when it's rocketing on that, and it's just pretty insane. But I did hear a theory, and I don't know if it's you, Joseph, that told me about this or something. Oh no, it was Johnny, and he sent me a link saying the current price action has been orchestrated by one exchange, and CoinSetter, they do use pooled exchanges. How much truth it is, I don't know, but they do kind of pool the exchanges to allow people to trade on multiple simultaneously. Oh, and the other thing is, the other reason how you can tell a pump as well is that not only do they put 300 bids right at the front of the book, but they'll probably hit it on every exchange at the same time. Quite often you'll get, there's a certain group, and they'll play Bitfinex and Stamp. They'll pump those two at the same time. But this Hubi team, the Hubi team are good. The Hubi team really know how to take it up, and as soon as the pump ends, you can just see that as well. It's great. It's brilliant.
Can I say something to that as well?
Sure.
If you look over at my screen, I just have Bitfinex. This is something I see for identifying these pumps. The volume, you can see it's almost dead on these 15-minute candles leading up to the pumps, right? There's no volume at all. Nothing's moving. And during these pump candles, the volume is exponentially larger than every other bar of volume there. And so the price is moving up, but it's being forced up through there. You can see in that 15-minute candle, the first one with the big spike, it totally got sold into. And then another big spike. So they use those big spikes of buys to get past all the sellers.
And so what? And then they start hitting the top of it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's exactly what they do. They do a huge, like 2 or 3 buys, like literally huge buys, and that just kind of like
coins.
Yeah, because all the asks, most people, if the price is like 440 now, most people's asks will be between, say, 441, where it is now, and say 460. After that, people are kind of like, they haven't put their asks there because they figure they'll just do that when it gets to it. So they put in a huge buy to kind of like clear the air, and then put in some big bid walls, and then let all the noobs go, oh my god, it's running away from me, better get in. And then they dive in and help market buy it up, and usually snatch up all the coins as well.
And then what, the big boys come along and smack it up top? Is that what you're saying?
Well, usually they'll just be asked. Once they buy, they'll be placed in the asks, like immediately. And as the noobs come along and panic buy after them, they'll be rebuying their BTC at a premium, at a higher price anyway. And then they'll offload the rest at the top. And they're experienced pumpers out there that have done a lot of pumps on a lot of coins for a lot of years. They know how to make a good pump, and but pumps have been tough lately. Like this one's only $22, so it's tough pump.
All right. So let's see what we have here. We'll do one more question call, and then I think if that's this is interesting. So Hubi right now is showing, I don't know whether you show it on your screen or not, but it's got basically like a vertical bid, and same thing with Bitstamp. They're vertical. Is that sort of your pump scenario?
What, on Hubi right now?
I think it's more. You see, on my screen, the 2 charts on the left, the bid sort of arc. It looks more circular. Well, now one of them just changed. If we look at the BTCE, you see how sort of it looks like an oval, right? But
it's kind of similar, Brian. Sorry.
That's okay.
They're just a lot more aggressive about it, and I see what you're talking about, and that is a big bid support wall there. But when they're pumping, it's literally right up on the price, and it's way bigger.
Yeah.
That whole section there, that whole line showing the bids would be completely straight.
Yeah, and I mean, another way to see a pump as well is these pumps, like, they really like to happen when everybody's just kind of like silent, dead. Everybody wants it to go lower, but nobody's really selling, and it's just kind of like completely dead on volume. It's just going a little bit sideways, and it doesn't curl up and launch off. It doesn't, it'll just be going sideways, sideways, a little bit down, and then it'll just go boom, completely out of the blue. Boom, boom, buy, 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 buy. Huge bid walls. And everybody goes, oh shit, buy, buy, buy. And that's it, it's off. So,
Okay.
and usually by then they've offloaded. So that's pretty much how they've been working lately, but many flavors of pumps.
Yep. I mean, I've played this in stock market land, so I see the similarities. I understand what you're talking about. It's good for people that are just watching to get an idea of what it is that you guys mean when you talk about these pumps, and good to get a visual demonstration. So I'm curious, what do you guys make out of the gaps you see on Bitstamp there on the order book? What does that mean to you? Like I see this, we seem to have a bit of a horizontal line here on the offers, and then there's holes on the offers. What does that mean?
Maybe there's just not any bids or asks there.
Yeah, and does that, because you see Hobie's got a little bit of it just above that 2750, and BidFinX has got holes all over the place on it. So I'm just curious what that means to you guys.
I just don't read anything into that, to be honest. I mean, the thing is, somebody said, the order book, it can be a lot of smoke and mirrors as well, because people have got all these asks there, and when the price starts going up, what do? They pull them. And people have got all these bids there. Everybody wants to buy. Everybody wants to buy. And as soon as the price starts crashing, people go, "Oh no, I'll pull that. I'll pull that. I'll pull it." So, so there's a lot of like just posturing going on in the order book, and
Right.
so.
Well, I like playing devil's advocate, so thank you for that wisdom. All right, so last call, everybody. We got about 20 some odd people on the YouTube channel. We've got a few people in the lounge. If there aren't any more questions, then I think we'll probably wrap tonight's session up here shortly. Let's see. My belief is when this takes off, it's going to be a repeat of last November, just a catalyst. I agree, Andre. When it happens, I imagine it's sticking that log chart. Okay.
I mean, worth noting just now as well, if you look at Bitstamp on the 15-minute, that bottom candle, that 437.79, it's the big low that happened, still holding up price as support level, and 15-minute really slowly working his way down. By the time he gets down there, could be in my range here, my buying range, 437 down to 435. So like I say, it's a risky maneuver, but you could, if you do get in that range, you'll probably be able to sell on an uptick, even uptick up to 442, even at 444. So they're risky moves, but if you're addicted like me and you like to try and, people say, oh, don't try and play every bounce, you'll never win, you just lose. You lose more than you win, and I don't care. I still like to play every bounce anyway.
You gunslinger, you.
Yeah, I love it.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, people in the lounge, did you enjoy this evening's broadcast? Did you learn anything? Any comments in closing here? We're a very quiet group tonight. And over in YouTube, we'll just quickly check in with you guys. Any last close? I'm muted?
No, I said everybody is a mute.
Oh, okay. Let's see how we're doing over here. Wow, actually quite a few posts. Lots of chatting in the YouTube room, so that's good to see. And all in one that allows people to buy inside with CC. It's killer app and that app will happen. ATC adoption. Can't people do that with MasterCard now, Chris? I got the impression that you could buy and sell on your MasterCard. I thought BTCE had that function on their website, don't they?
The problem with buying with any kind of traditional payment system is that the Visa MasterCard, they're in control of that payment system and they can issue chargebacks. So if you're going to sell somebody Bitcoin, they can just withdraw and run away with, and then you get a chargeback, 3 months down the line. It's going to put you in a world of pain, and that's why Coinbase and Bitstamp, they need this verification because they think, if somebody is going to do that, we need to be able to hunt this guy down and bring him to justice.
Yeah, well, I suppose with Mt. Gox floating out there, that's always a concern. All right, well, I enjoyed the information given tonight. I think we basically have a consensus, that we're not quite out of the woods yet. We're coming up to a pretty important focal point here. I have been sort of hoping for us to get out of May, sell in May and walk away. Hopefully we can get through this, and I'll start seeing my W's, and I'll start getting excited. I find it interesting how all my stink bids, they just don't have no interest in.
You've gone, Brian. You've gone. Audio's gone. It's not mute, it's just a noise. Yeah. BTCE charges 5%. Yeah,
Oh.
Peg.
Am I back?
You're back.
Oh, okay. I actually live in an older building here in Vancouver, and they haven't really updated the cable wiring here. It's still on this communal wiring. You know how the cable companies used to do this? Mm-hmm. So maybe that's a subtle message that I should move the hell out of here. Who knows? But anyway, I hope everybody enjoyed tonight's broadcast. It's a real pleasure doing this. Andre's a world of information, and I love listening to him. Thank you as well, Joseph, for your thoughts. I thought that was very helpful too, so thank you very much for participating. Great to see so much activity over on the YouTube page. Shows that we have lots of interest over there too, so thank you for participating there. I'll just do a simple plug. As you all know, and through these shows, in fact, I was supposed to do it at the beginning of the show, but I'll do it anyway. If you have enjoyed any information that I've given, most of the information that I give you can either find on my Twitter feed or on my website. We do run a number of these different shows. Mondays is all about options, and Saturdays is all about trading plan and psychology, and sort of holding hands to get us through the trading process. Trading can be tough for a living. It's not an easy task by any means. And there's actually a very small portion of the population that can actually do it effectively. So, and then, another hats off to our participants for carving up the market. And hopefully, through the way Andre speaks, you can sort of see what it takes to be a day trader in the Bitcoins. So if you enjoyed any information or you'd like to learn more, you're more than welcome to go to my website, therationalinvestor.ca. If you did enjoy the show and you'd like to remunerate us, Andre, of course. Andre, you got a website yet now? Or are you doing any of that kind of stuff?
Just check me out, Flibbr at Twitter.
All right, so you got his Twitter feed, and of course you can always find us on TradingView. If you would like to donate for our time and effort, feel free to go to my website and you can just click on the donate button. All donations are greatly appreciated and help us build the Bitcoin Fund. Thank you for YouTube and for Google for offering this awesome platform for us to work off of. And thank you, Internet gods, for not disconnecting me completely tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, I guess, to everybody. So
And
Okay, Andre, you got something to say?
I just want to say thanks to my mom, my dad.
Yeah. Thank you to my second grade math teacher for teaching me how to add. And I guess if that's it, I'll try and take us out with our theme music. I've been battling with this Foundation thing for a while, and frankly, I don't even know if you guys hear it or not. But here's our theme music. And if you hear it, that means we're either at the beginning of the show or the end of the show. So until next week, Andre, thank you very much for doing this with me, and you have a great week. And all the best to everybody out there in Internet land and anybody who participated in our forum. And warm adieu to your family, and God bless, and good trading.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Bye. Can you dig